Hi everyone and welcome to our first episode of the Omnichannel series. It's a series of videos where we'll talk about this term, the Omnichannel, that refers to customer journeys, and we'll talk about how can corporations optimize their presence in the Omnichannel from a customer experience standpoint and from a financial standpoint to use the Omnichannel really efficiently. We'll talk about what the Omnichannel means, what it encompasses, what's its scope. We'll talk about technology, we'll talk about cost, we'll talk about talent and many other things. And in this first video, we are going to start focusing around defining what the Omnichannel means and the few things you need to have in mind when thinking about selling in the Omnichannel as a brand. So let's start by defining what the Omnichannel is. What's the scope of it? The best way to think about it is to use a 2x2 matrix. And on the vertical axis, you want to look at what are physical touch points with your customers in the journey and what are digital touch points with customers in the journey. And on the horizontal axis, you want to plot where do I meet and engage my customers? Where do I market to them? And where do my customers actually transact? Where do they buy from? Where do they actually spend the money? And with this 2x2 matrix, now you can start plotting all of your customer touch points in the journey. And it could be TV, out-of-home billboards, or press advertising on the advertising side. It could be digital display, social networks, search engine marketing campaigns. If you look at the transaction points, obviously there's retail, physical retail, or your own brand physical stores. And on the digital transactional touch points, you will have retail.com, which is the .com arm of a physical retailer. You can have pure play, like marketplace like Amazon, or you could have your own .com as a brand where you sell. And all of this, if you plot your touch points in there, all of this is the Omnichannel. There's nothing more to it. That's what it is. Now, if you want to start looking at Omnichannel from a marketing lens or sales lens, the interesting thing is that when you talk to marketers and you talk about the Omnichannel, they tend to think about, where you engage and meet your customers. So for them, Omnichannel means, where do I advertise? Do I advertise in the physical touch point? Do I advertise in the digital touch point? And that's what they call the Omnichannel. If you talk to salespeople and more generally to business people, what they mean by Omnichannel is always, where does the customer buy? The question they're trying to answer is, did that customer buy from our own retail stores? Did they buy from a third-party retailer? Or did they buy from our .com? Because it has huge cost implications and pricing implications for them in terms of where should the inventory be and things like that. Well, and that would be a way to see the world that would work for everyone if customers' journey were simple. They would be like, you've seen something on TV, and then maybe you've been retargeted on social networks with that same offering, and then you decided to go and buy in Amazon. And that's what your customer journey would look like. Or maybe you've seen a billboard outside, and then you walk into a retailer, and then you bought from them. But the truth is, customer journeys don't look that simple. They are very complicated and intricate. More often than not, what they look like is this, and sometimes even more complicated. So how to think about that, how to optimize your business for this, how to give great customer experiences in a financially efficient way? Well, there are a number of things you need to think about. And number one, stating the obvious. As we've just seen on the customer journey, every touch point is a marketing touch point. You can't think about TV and social networks as advertising touch point and then retail.com as a selling transactional touch point. A lot of brands do this, but then they provide inconsistent, discontinuous customer journeys that don't turn out to be winning for them. They do not convert. So every one of your touch point is a touch point for marketing. Your marketing, your channel marketing, and your sales behavior around pricing and promotion, all of this does marketing and helps convincing your customer. So you really need to merge this and think about this as a single way of seeing the customer journey. Now, the other thing that is not so obvious is changing a lot. Traditionally, it was really easy to understand where customers buy. They buy from physical or online stores. That's it. Well, that's changing so much and it will keep on changing. So now you have to think about the fact that shopping on social network will explode and become a key trend. By the way, if you're not ready for holidays Q4 this season, you'd better get started. Ads will be shoppable. So display advertising, you'll be able to check out inside the advertising, and the advertising will be targeted in a way that you'll be compelled to check out. Same thing with search engine marketing. So you need to think that the lines between sales and marketing are blurring, and you need to think about your customers that might want either one of these options in their customer journey. So you need to think about what we call optionality in the customer journey. Your touch points serve multiple purposes, and then you have to enable this for your customers. For everything that is in the blue circle, you need to think about one thing, which is shoppability. How shoppable is my brand throughout the touch points? And all of these touch points need to be highly shoppable. So they need to deliver frictionless shopping options to your customers. And once again, you need to think about marketability. Every one of your touch points does marketing. You really need to understand this and organize yourself in a way that optimizes every touch point for marketing. Now, how do you make this happen is a question. Well, you need to have a strategy for three things all through the journey. What type of content am I serving? What type of traffic do I want to drive where? And what's the price and what investment do I want to put in which traffic? And what capabilities do I have underlying my strategies so that I can feed this customer journey? Things around data, around technology. So what traffic, what content, and what capabilities do I have is, for any corporation, the way to think about the omnichannel and how to win in there. And you need to have these so they will feed the marketability, so the marketing performance of your touch point, and the shoppability, the shopping performance or transactional performance of your touch points. All through the journey, you need to have that. All right, so once I said this, it's easy to say, then what? Well, yes, there are many more questions. There's questions around cost, there's questions around technology, there's questions around partnerships, around talent, around, what do we do in-house? What do we externalize? Well, there will be more videos about this, but what I can say is that at the end of these videos, I hope you'll be able to understand how to build your presence as a brand or as a retailer on the omnichannel and make this a famous omnichannel that turns out to be a huge profitability driver for you. Thank you and see you soon.